Hello, my name is Adam Buckles, and today I'm going to be speaking about musical education. Did you know that high school students that take education classes usually have a higher GPA than those that have non-music students? At Mission High School in Southern California in 1981, the overall grade point average of music students was 3.59, and for non-music students it was 2.91. And that was found in the book Music in the Brain, How Music Changes the Brain. Music education offers many benefits more than just increasing grade point average though. And it is available in many forms other than traditional forms such as band and choir. A little bit about me and why I'm talking about musical education. I played drums for about 12 years and I've played in bands for about 6. I tried guitar for a while, but didn't really get that interested in it. I've only taken about 10 drum lessons though, and I don't know how many guitar lessons, but not many because I couldn't really afford them. And what I'm trying to pinpoint with that is that you don't really need instruction that costs money to be involved with musical education, and that you can be self-taught, and I've still found value in musical education. Musical education has many benefits and comes in various forms. Today we'll talk about the benefits of musical education and the various forms it comes in. Musical education improves literacy, handling your emotions, and mathematics, and it has been proven to increase literacy rates. Literacy is defined as being the state of being literate, and it is more than simply being able to read and write. James Paul Gee, a professor at Arizona State University, defined literacy as control of a secondary language and being able to use it in a social context outside of your environment. And I found that online, and it didn't really cite where they got that from, but I just figured it was that James Paul Gee. 2 schools in New York testing for literacy in second graders saw a great improvement in schools that offered musical education over those that did not offer musical education. When they retested, they found that the musical education students were significantly higher in scores than those that were not, and they conducted that having like 2 separate groups, so it wasn't just there's no way it could be mixed up. There's 2 completely different groups. And that was by the psychologists Joseph M. Pyro and Camilla Ortsif of New York Long Island University. The repetition of reading, playing, learning rhythms, viewing the abstract symbols that you need to know to read music, counting out loud, and patterning all lead to a link between literacy and musical education. Music itself is a language, and it develops many of the same characteristics as learning another language. Many find it easier to connect to because of rhythm though. When you first start learning, if you start with sheet music, you may think it's a bunch of just gibberish, but once you learn kind of how it has patterns and rhythms that repeat, it's much easier to read because you don't have to stare at each individual piece. It's one of the more natural ways to read actually. And most stories have been translated into song because it's natural for memory to remember a song more than it is to remember someone saying, hey, remember 4 minutes of information. Musical education helps with emotions and expression of them as well. We all need a way to control our emotions in a proper way. For many people, music can provide an outlet, and for many of you, you may not play an instrument, but you may listen to a song or something that conveys what you're feeling at the time, even though you're not expressing it through the instrument, and it allows you to channel your emotion in a more fit manner. I want to share a story of a teacher with a student named Sarah, which I'm using the name Sarah, but that's not the actual name, because the website blanks out the real name. And she was a 4th grader in the Bronx who frequently got into trouble and had disruptive outbursts in class, and the teacher said she had an inability to channel her energy into a proficient manner to learn and basically take part in class. The teacher who was teaching the music program implemented standards of participation, musical behavior, and had set students up for success. She gave them a blank slate from the get-go, didn't really judge them from how they were doing in their other classes. And what they found was that she, after being in the class for a while, was able to handle her emotions better and stuff because she put effort into that program, not being judged previously to going into it. And she was actually asked to play at the ETMs for her school and with 28 partner schools at a gala. You may say, well, I'm not a fourth grader, and how does this relate to me? You can still strive to use musical education as an outlet, though, and later on I'm going to talk about some of the forms that it comes in. There's not just the traditional forms you think of. There really is no age limit, and there's no limit on when you can start. It doesn't matter if you're, 90 years old or as old as we are, you can still get involved with it. College-age musicians are emotionally healthier than other people. They usually have less alcohol-related problems, anxiety, and drug-related issues. Aldous Huxley said, "After silence, that which comes closest to expressing the inexpressible is music," which can be true because you're saying it without really saying it. Music created by an instrument is like a silent movie. It expresses emotion without, like I said, literally saying it. Musical education has been shown to improve mathematics and has a close relation to it. Students who are exposed to music-based lessons scored a full 100% higher on fraction tests than those who learned without any type of musical education. That was from a neurological research study in 1999, and I found that on Houston Chronicle on a music fact sheet. Most musicians learn time signatures, such as notes such as eighth notes and quarter notes. They learn patterns. They learn how to count what they're playing. They learn divisions and subdivisions. They learn much more complex things as they advance if they continue to play. For us college-age students, you may think we already are through the majority of school. It's like starting way too late to get interested in musical education. That isn't really true. Musical training helps underachievers even if they didn't start with musical education. Students lagging behind in scholastic performance caught up to their fellow students in reading and surpassed their classmates in math by 22% when given musical instruction over 7 months. That's not really that much time. That's not even a full year. And that was from a study in 1996, and that was found on the same musical fact sheet that I previously cited. With all these benefits of musical education, you may wonder what are some of the forms of musical education. Many forms of musical education exist and can be found at any cost, including free. The most common ones you may think of are grade school, middle school, and high school, like basically instructed by an instructor. In 2009 to 2010, 94% of elementary schools offered instruction that was designated specifically during regular school hours. And I found that on a PDF file from NCES.gov. And some common classes include musical theory, percussion ensemble, wind ensemble, symphonic band, concert, choir, and symphonic orchestra. Many schools have variations that offer different additional courses as well, depending on the income rate. White-collar school districts are the most common to have more programs, obviously, and those schools that are of higher poverty are the first to cut the musical education programs because they consider that the least important, being how they're not tested on it really. Students who participate in music programs tend to have a lower use of alcohol and illegal substances, like I said before, but that's particularly important for those who are going through basically grade school, middle school, and high school, because that's when a lot of people start using those substances, even though we think about it in college is the time you starts way before then. There are many music colleges that offer classes, and some of the famous ones include Berklee in Boston, Massachusetts, and Boston University, and the Juilliard School in New York. The cost of attendance really varies, though. Those top schools I listed can cost up to $65,000 per year, which is a lot unless you're really pursuing that as a passion. But you can also get classes at like community college, and Cal has music programs, even though they're pretty limited in what you get to pick from compared to other schools. Getting a degree in musical education has a lot of variance in pay, just like it does how much it costs to get one depending where you go. In a survey from Berkeley College in 2010, they found that the average teacher teaching grades K through 12 earned a median wage from $43,580 to $48,690. But there's also other roads to go down that are probably more common, since there's only so many teaching positions that can be filled. A common one would be being a clinician, which basically you can go to like a store or something like that, put on a clinic for say all day or half a day, and you get paid to teach whoever shows up. You can make as much as $5,000 doing that, and you can make as little as $300 according to Berkeley, and I know people that make even less than that. It's really, it's depends what you're doing and what area you're in. This was also found on crom.com, and if one chooses to go to college for musical education, they really should go because they have a passion for it. People sometimes think music is going to be easy. It's not really, especially top universities. People sit in practice rooms from like the beginning of the day, except for their classes, to night, just practicing pieces to perform and learning how to read and just everything related to music. Perhaps the most unconventional method, but increasingly common method, is being self-taught. There are many online resources that are free, such as sheet music tabs, full-length lesson videos, technique videos, how to play videos, books, articles, documentaries. You can pretty much find full series of instructions for free that you would pay for the same exact DVD. A lot of them are actually better than the DVD. I bought DVDs, they're not as good. The obvious lack with most of these resources is not having an instructor's presence, so you kind of have to figure out your own structure on like making yourself dedicate time to, like, as much time as you decide to dedicate to musical education, I guess, and it depends what your priorities are. You also have to deal with the frustration of sometimes realizing you learned something wrong and having to relearn it with proper technique because you didn't have someone there to correct you when you made it the mistake at first. And you also shouldn't be afraid to reach out to the online community. There's a lot of forums and stuff where people will just literally tell you exactly what you're doing wrong or right, and they're not really rude about it. It's just kind of how it is. I want to take a moment to share the story of a famous drummer that you probably all heard of, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, to point out the fact that you can still be self-taught and succeed. He learned to play drums from the age of 5 on containers that he found around the house and coffee tins, just imitating his idols. His mother gave him his first snare drum at the age of 10, and he didn't get his real kit until he turned 15. Never took any formal drum lessons at all, and he played in about 7 different bands before joining Led Zeppelin, and just pretty much learned by being around other people playing. He's considered one of the best drummers of all time, and we have more resources now than they did back that time. They didn't have online videos and stuff. When he started drumming, we can literally look up the best pro drummers in the world and get step-by-step how to play videos. That obviously applies to every other instrument as well. Guitar has even more than that. I'm sure a lot of other ones do as well. The last and most recent evolution to musical education is online lessons that are actual, like, you still pay for the lesson and you have instructor presence, but via a webcam. Many sites exist for this, but one of the most common ones is called Bandhappy, which was created by Matt Halpern from Periphery. The prices for lessons vary, but they're usually less expensive than an in-person lesson. You can, on sites such as Bandhappy, you can actually message the instructor to set up a private lesson, so you can pick, like, say you want an instructor this Friday from this band for $15, you can do that, and then next week you can have someone completely different, and they may have a completely different price or length of lesson. Touring musicians often do that on their off days, just for a little bit extra money, because a lot of them don't make that much money to start with. To participate in a lesson, all you really need is camera that you can see them and they can see you, so probably your computer camera would be good enough. In conclusion, musical education has many benefits and comes in various forms. Some of the benefits include improvement in literacy, emotions, and mathematics. Some forms of musical education include school, that's grades K through 12, self-taught, and online lessons. Musical education offers many benefits and comes in all these forms I just listed. And I encourage you to get involved and see for yourself what a musical education has to offer. Does anyone have any questions?